So today we'll talk about international website and how we can make sure, both on a marketing base and on a technical base, to build a strategy on SEO level that will suit the way Google treats your website and its different country or languages. So for this first we will see how Google treats search locally these days. Then we'll see how, by using Google tools and Google data, we will see how we can use those data to our advantage in order to find out what products that you would be selling need to be marketed to which users. It's actually the first step that you need to do. Second, we will see how we can find out, using the same data, the right search terms for those products, also using Google data and Google tools. And then the fourth part will be the technical part, where we will look at domain name strategy, duplicate content issues, landing pages, splash pages, how you should make sure to help Google, in fact, the Google algorithms to correctly see your content as you intend it to be seen by Google. So, first part, you all know whenever you type Google, you are automatically directed to Google Belgium. The .com, google.com will look at your IP address from where you are surfing to redirect you to the right Google, localized Google. So you'll have a Belgian version, a French version, a Dutch version, and so on. The differences between those versions are actually already visible here. It will actually try to present you the content that is most relevant to you. And in Google's eyes, whenever you search, it's probably the local content that will be more relevant to you. It seems obvious when you search for commercial information about buying something, it will present you content from the sites that hopefully deliver or are present in your country, but also informative type of queries about I don't know, taxes, for example. It will try to show you results from the Belgian tax system and not obviously from the Dutch tax system. At least it hopes to do so. And we all know this is not always successful. You all have seen searches where the top results are actually from the Netherlands or from France, which is why they have two options here. These two options, first one is to filter by language in case Google actually did not manage to identify the language correctly of your search query, and the second will filter by country. Now, our goal is to make these two filters unnecessary for all your surfers in whatever country they are looking for, because those filters are actually kind of, yeah, okay, Google did not see the right results, but you can try to filter better. So. Let's delve right into the goal of doing this. Whenever you present local content, you will get more local traffic. That's the goal. And whenever you present your search, your products, your information to local traffic, you will get better conversion rates. So that's a cumulative effect of those both aspects, which will mean, if you're selling something on your site, increased revenue. So that's the main goal, getting more local traffic, and that local traffic will convert better, which means that you will get increased revenue. Okay, let's do an exercise. First of all, how do I make sure, if I'm a gaming store, for example, how do I make sure that I present the right products to the right users in the different countries? People do not behave the same worldwide, and the best way to show this is with a theoretical example. There are Google tools available that show you this kind of information. Now, this is actually a very interesting data mining tool. I will show you the address of the tool later on. It's called Google Insights, and it builds on a history of, I would say since '98, but that's not the case, since 2003 approximately, of search terms typed into the Google search engines worldwide. So that's in the local Google search engines. And this lets you rank your search volume by country. So for example, for Xbox, what do we see? Well, you might expect the Xbox to be very popular in the US, but actually it's the UK that has the highest search volume on Xbox. And even Mexico has more search volume on Xbox than the United States. Another very interesting thing, which I stumbled upon when I made the graph, does anyone see this patch here? This is Iraq. So one interpretation would be that soldiers do not only make war, but also play games when they're when they have finished their 9 to 5 job of doing war. So Iraq is actually the 8th country with most search results on Xbox. Those are insights that you might not expect, but Google lets you interpret this data and use it to your advantage. Similarly, when we look at the Wii, one of the other top 3 consoles, well, it's not Japan, it's actually France that has the most search queries for Wii, before Japan. And so we see in France, the Wii is a lot more popular than the Xbox, contrary to the UK, where the Xbox is a lot more popular than the Wii. So that's for 2 countries, we've just separated by the channel. But a significant difference in search behavior. And then the PlayStation, a whole different picture. It's South America that has the most searches for PlayStation. Not only PlayStation 3, but I guess PlayStation 1 and 2 also play a big part in the increase in search volume in those South American countries. So this kind of information can be used to find out, okay, if I'm presenting a homepage in Brazil, should I put the Wii, the PlayStation, or the Nintendo games on there? Well, with this tool, you have the answer. Once you know what products to market to what users, the next step, obviously, is to find out how those users are talking about those products. And that's finding the right search terms for those products. And again, you can use Google tools for this. I made 2 very simple examples, which are actually from applicable to this country. If you use for this, for a microwave, in Dutch, you would use, in Belgium, in Vlaanderen, you would use microgolf, and in the Netherlands, you would use magnetron. And the Netherlands has actually almost no volume on microgolf oven. So, I mean, just separated by a few 10 kilometers makes a huge difference in behavior in searches. So if you're selling microwaves in Dutch, still you have to use 2 different terms and 2 different pages to present your product to Belgians and to Dutch people. Same for cell phones. A cell phone is called a GSM in Belgium, in the French part. In France, they never talk about GSM, they talk about portable. Again, a significant difference on a very I mean, it's not an anecdote. It's actually one of the most used products, but totally a different way of searching for it in the 2 countries. And even in our own country, if I can start the video and show you a little something about how people are talking differently about the same thing.
Yeah, t'en es tombé. Non, je ne l'ai plus. Bah, dis-moi autre chose. Moi, c'est un bobo. Moi, parce qu'un bonbon, ça, c'est un biscuit. Ça, c'est un bobo. Ah ouais?
Oups.
Un cuberdon. Une chic. T'as déjà fait des bulles avec un cuberdon? C'est quoi? C'est une boule que t'es? Non, c'est pas une boule, c'est le plat. Mais c'est toi qui es plat, tu viens d'où? Viens d'un l'heure. À l'heure, ça met ton pâtier jamais. Quoi ça? Moi, je viens de couper le béton. Coupe le béton. C'est pas un biscuit, ça me non.
So, so I guess some of you saw it when it came out, I think 2 years ago. I mean, when I saw this, I immediately thought about this concept, how you use different words. I mean, it's part of the dialect, it's part of how you live, and it's different from person to person and from community to community. And getting the best, the most localized content means getting the best keywords for your products matched to how people will search them. This also means that you cannot effectively use translation tools when you make an international copy of your website. If you have a site available in French and Dutch for Belgium and you would like to address Spanish countries like Spain and so on, just translating your website from one language to the other will not make it. They do not have all those cultural knowledge, and even translation agencies, which, as most of you know, use tools to assist in the translation, will often miss some important search terms. That's why it's important to have a local presence. Now, this can mean, of course, an internal local presence. That's the best way to do it. If you have a reseller for your new Spanish market, he will be able to tell you what are the good terms to use. So the first step is to get the right list of search terms. And this input cannot really be extracted from tools. You have to find it locally, with local input and preferably human input, of course. Once you have that list, it can be expanded. There are several keyword tools available. There's the Google Insight for Search tool, which I just showed you for the gaming consoles example and the microwave example. That's freely available. It's a very good tool. You can find trends. You can find seasonality in your searches, knowing, because that's also another aspect which we won't talk about today, but knowing what products need to be shown at what time in the year for the different parts of the world. You have the Google Keyword tool available. This is a tool which will give you additional insight beyond search volume. It will give you actual search volume, so not just a comparison, but actual numbers, telling you how much searches are done per month in a certain market for a certain keyword. It will also give you competitive information. It's based for AdWords, so it will show you the estimated cost per click that you would need to advertise on that keyword, which is usually a little bit inflated. And it will show you also a search volume trend over time. And then almost all agencies developed, of course, a lot of internal tools to combine this data available from Google with own data and make more extensive analysis on that. Again, do not only look at the search terms, look at the search volume you get for a term. There's no need, no glory in getting a page done for a search term for which there is no search volume. It will not increase your traffic and certainly not your conversions. And look also at competition on some terms. Don't shoot too high also. There are some terms which are heavily wanted and for which your competitors will have gigantic budgets and will be assisted by several, sometimes agencies to get there. So try to start in something that you think you can achieve, and then build up the list as you see your traffic and your conversions rising on some terms. Now, we'll conclude the more marketing part of this aspect, namely knowing how to organize your content, how to tag your content with keywords. And now we'll look at the technical part. That means how we can help Google in correctly localizing your content. Google has a number of algorithms. We'll do a number of checks and we'll try to know that this page in French is actually for Belgium, or this page in French is for France or for Canada. And it's your goal as SEO webmaster to actually help Google in there. There are two problems. It's not an easy one for Google. You can have first one country with several languages. Our country is a prime example. And you can have one language that can span several countries. So it's kind of a dual problem. And this can be solved by applying a DNS strategy, so a domain name strategy, combined with a correct redirection of your domain. So let's before looking at an example, let's see how Google will try to do it. It will look at, first of the obvious is the top level domain name extension. So if you have a site .be, it knows .be, it will be marketed to Belgium, and it will assign it to the Belgian country. Assign it to Belgian country. Why are we localizing content by country? Google will boost those results in the local search results. In google.be, there is, beyond the mythical score that has been calculated by Google to every page and for every search term, Google will boost the localized content in order to present you the more local content. That's the main difference between the results in google.be and google.fr, for example, or google.nl in the same language. So it will look at the domain name extension. If you're using a .com, it used to look at the IP address of the server, which is why a couple of years ago most recommendations were to put your server in your target country, and if you had multiple target countries, to build a quite complicated system with servers localized by IP address in their country. Luckily, there is now another solution available with the webmaster tools. You can now yourself, and it's obvious that you should be able to do this. You are now able yourself to tell Google, okay, this part of the website is for France, this part of the website is for Belgium, this part of the website is for the Netherlands. You cannot yet say this part is for the French-speaking part of Belgium and this part is for the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. It will not take account of language, it will only take account of your geographic target, meaning your country. So at least it solves the problem for France where you have one language for one country. So here's the address. It's Webmaster Tools. It will verify that you are the owner of the website. And once that is done, you have this setting that you can put, and you have obviously a whole lot of information that Google tells you about how it sees your website. This is also a very important tool when doing an SEO project on a site. You are able to tell them your sitemaps. You are able to configure your site links if you're not happy with what Google presented as a default choice for your site links. I hope everybody knows what a site link is. If you type, for example, the name of your brand, you might see in your first result the domain name of your site, and then you might see sub-links. Those are called site links. It's direct access to a part of your website, and it's at the discretion of Google to enable or not those site links, and it's based on how well your site is structured. You can also change addresses, meaning if you move your domain names from one domain name to another, you can use a webmaster tool to help Google correctly make the move. And you can also have a whole number of diagnostics, knowing how many pages were indexed, when was the last time the crawler came by. This is a really good tool that you should check out, and it's obviously free also. So let's do a practical example. Brussels Airlines, for example. Domain name strategy we chose. There are some different options, but this one has the most benefit and the least disadvantages. You put everything under the .com domain name, which is your main domain. It can be a .com, it can be a .eu or a .net in function of your preferences. And then you structure your website by subfolders, subdirectories, which are prefixed by the language followed by the country. Or the other way around, doesn't matter, but you have to have a separation which combines the country and the language. And preferably use the internationally accepted standard to differentiate the languages and country codes, meaning do not use the E for German, well, do use it, but respect the right abbreviations, because Google will also take on a look at those two-letter codes, and it will help you in your domain name strategy. Once that is done, you obviously have, hopefully you registered yourself all the top-level domain name extensions. Those need to be redirected to the right directory. Now, when we speak about redirection, without being too technical, there are three ways of doing this, but the right way is to do it with a permanent redirection. It's a 301 code for the IT guys. And that's a way to do it so that Google will assimilate your top-level domain name with this directory on all levels, meaning it will transfer all the popularity that this domain name has to this one. By doing this, because you know that it will be transferred, you can also use this one in your local marketing. So you don't need to use those kind of ugly or not very sexy domain names on your posters and in your offline marketing, or even if you're in your online marketing, you can use the top-level domain name. And it's even best to do this. Why? These domain names will, as long as your marketing progresses over the years, will amass a number of incoming links and will amass a number of credibility. And this credibility will, of course, come from the French sites that have been exposed to your marketing. So you're actually building a division also into how your credibility or your popularity is coming into your website, and you're segmenting it by country through the top-level domain names. So that's the way to do it. And then with the permanent redirection, Google knows that it never has to show you this, it has to direct you there. Okay, so you've done this, okay, people come in through there and are redirected and see the results there. But what about people coming, just typing in brusselsairlines.com, what about those people? The way to do this is the same way as the people who just type .be, not knowing in advance which language for .be or which language and country for a .com you have to present to a user. You have to present a splash page. In Belgium it's called a language choice page. It's a country selector page on international sites. And this page will be shown once to the user because the result will be stored in the cookie, so that you can remember that he's interested in Belgium French, for example. But do the page in a way that is readable by Google by using hard links, direct HTTP links, not forms or JavaScript links preferably, because Google will come here every time the robot crawls. The robot will not use cookies and will not store a preference. It has no preference. It wants to index and see your whole site, so it will come here every time. So use those links so that every time it sees that under Brussels.com, you actually have the whole list of countries and language codes. So this addresses the countries. What about the language? Well, the main way, and it's the obvious one, how Google identifies the language of your page is by looking directly at the keywords that you use in the text. So if your text is sufficiently long, more than one keyword, let's say, it will pretty much always use the right language for your page. So it will know that it is a page in French, it will know that it is a page in Dutch. It's actually pretty good at it, as long as you have enough text, which is fed into the crawler. Meta-lang attributes, sometimes you read this on blogs and stuff. Meta-lang attributes are ignored by Google, so they do not look at that. There's no need because you have the text. Why do they ignore it? Well, first of all, you can make mistakes, even if it's not intentional. You can have a template which uses the same meta-lang attribute for your whole site because that's the way you received your templates, and which, as the site progresses, might not be the case anymore. So how can you do it? How can you help Google in identifying the right languages? There are a couple of things that you always have to do. Never use side-by-side translations. Never use, what I mean by this is a page where you would have one block in French, one block in Dutch, one block in English. Never use that for your content pages within your website. And always make sure to translate the whole website. So not just your body text or your paragraph talking about your product, but everything. The menus, the headers, the footers, and preferably also localize it with your current address if you're doing a page for Belgium. And present links in the navigation to switch languages. This is for the user, but never use a automatic redirection based on how your ITers think that the user will be coming from or what language he will be used. So don't base yourself on the IP address of the user, on the language of his browser to present the correct language, because this will also mess up the crawler of Google. So just present a link in the menu to switch language. If you are afraid, and we will see how we can measure the success rate, but if you are afraid that you might present content in the wrong language. Actually, what will happen most is that you might, if you are afraid to present content in the right language, but the wrong country, meaning wrong prices, wrong contact address, and so on, you can always put a DHTML overlay over your page, which will not mess with Google, saying, I did not see a cookie with a setting of a user preference regarding country or language. Do you want me to present you a choice? So you can on a usability level, make sites that are very user-friendly also, and that always present the right prices to the right users. Unless, of course, because we also have clients more in retail who want to present different prices for different postal codes. That's a little more complicated because IP targeting does not go to that level yet. And again, a more technical aspect, use UTF encoding, character encoding, so that all languages can be encoded correctly into your pages, and also your links. So you can put accents and CDs and so in links, but encode them as UTF-8. Again, small example, well, it's actually quite simple. The whole page is in French. We just use UTF-8 character set, and you have here a menu to change your language or your country in case you did not make the right choice. You can go in English, France, or you can change it. Well, it's not more complicated than this. Now, something a little more complicated is duplicate content. What is duplicate content? Duplicate content is a page of your website that is very similar to another page of your website. Now, in an international website, this happens quite a lot. If you have a product, let's take the example of Amazon.co.uk and Amazon.com selling, I don't know, a CD. I should say a book since they started this way. If it's the same book, it will be the same metadata associated to the book. It will be the same title. It will be the same number of pages. The pages might be completely the same. What will Google do when it sees two pages that are the same? It will almost always prefer one page over the other. So it will make a certain decision based on a number of parameters, and it will promote one page with regards to the other. This is a problem that you can see when you search for something in Google BE or Google FR. You might see constantly the FR page coming up, even if you did all the work before. This is because it identified it as duplicate content. Now, there are two easy ways to handle this. The most easy way is to just let it be, but that's not a solution. The other way is to help Google identify your preferred version. And you can do that by redirecting duplicate content to your preferred version, or by using, that's also a new possibility, a canonical link attribute. Now, I won't go too much into detail, but just Google this one and you'll find some help. It's a way to identify over duplicate versions which one is the right one, and it's also a way to transfer all your popularity, page rank, credibility that you have from one page, which is not the right one, to the right one. Another way to do this, coming back to the Amazon example, is to make the pages different. So you can do this in the first part. We saw that you do not always have to use the same products for the same countries. So that's the obvious way to make your home pages completely different, is to present other products. But even if you go into the long tail of your product page, how do you make that one different? Well, just take the example of Amazon. You add customer reviews, which are coming from the .com or the .co.uk, and which completely separate the two pages, because the content that Google sees is now completely different. The part that's the same is small compared to other reviews that you can find on popular items. So that's also a way to handle this. It's just to make the pages more different. I already mentioned it for Brussels Airlines. We have completely different call to actions and promotions for different countries. So Africa or London And they change. They're not just coming from the data from Google, of course. They're also coming from their own business intelligence data and how they see their business. Okay. So to make a small overview, we saw how we can help Google identify correctly which country you're coming from. We saw how we can help him to identify the language correctly and how we can avoid as much as possible duplicate content. Once you've done all that, you want to measure and see how good it went. You can use any measurement tool. This one is Google Analytics, which is gaining more and more ground. One example for a Belgian French page, you can segment your visits coming from Google by country. And so you see that actually, in this case, 85% of the visits were coming from Belgium, as you intended it. And another calculation that you make is see how many came from French-speaking countries, and in this case it's 92. This also says that 8% is still coming from Germany, UK, Spain. If you extend the list, you will see even more exotic countries. Even when doing all this, it still is not a 100% correct shot. You need to measure it, identify where the pages have too low statistics and address those problems, but at least you can find out that there is a problem this way. If you achieve, I would say, a 90%, you can consider yourself successful in having a right targeting by country and by language and avoid the duplicate content issues. Okay, that's it.